Hello everyone, this is Mothership here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Star Trek First Contact, released in 1996. Now this is a bit different. I've never actually reviewed a movie on my channel before, a Star Trek movie, but it's Borg, it's got the Borg as the main villains, and I might as well review it, because I don't want to center myself on just episodes when there's such a great movie here. So, the plot is that the Borg are coming into Federation space and starting another invasion. Now, one of my criticism I have here is that, they're just starting another invasion randomly out of the blue, and they're not trying hard. They're sending only one cube, which I think is it's a bit weird feeling. And the fact that this happens at the very beginning of the movie with no build-up is strange to me. Now, it does make for an extremely exciting first, 10 minutes or so of the movie. But, I don't know, feels a bit off. Then again, the entire movie's about time travel. So, I guess they just wanted to get this part of the movie out of the way. Now, the Enterprise is made to patrol the neutral zone because Starfleet does not trust Picard. They think that he's incapable of handling a situation with the Borg. But Picard disobeys their orders and goes after the Borg anyway. Now, another thing is how easily the Borg cube was destroyed. Now, when I say easily, I don't mean it was really that easy, but compared to how well it went in the Best of Both Worlds, they did a much better job here. They managed to keep their fleet intact, and they managed to, sustain a fleet and actually destroy it, unlike how they used the Borg's own systems in the Best of Both Worlds to destroy them from the inside. Now, of course, the Federation had been preparing for a Borg attack more. Now you've got Intrepid class, Defiant class, so on, and Sovereign class, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But I still feel like it was a bit too easy. Now, speaking of the Sovereign class, it is absolutely gorgeous. And when I say gorgeous, it is legitimately my favorite starship design in Star Trek. The curves it's just perfect. It's phasor arrays, it's a beast, it's massive, it's powerful, and it's really the first starship we'd seen in Star Trek that could do everything. It was built for combat, it was built for diplomatic missions and scientific missions. It could go fast. It was really everything rolled into one. It was more powerful than any other starship, and its design reflects that. To this day, it is my favorite Federation starship design. So, seeing its introduction here in this movie makes me so happy, and the beautiful ways it's shot is just great. So, that's one of the best things about this film. Now, something interesting to note about this movie is that it's actually the plots of two separate Star Trek films smashed together. So there was meant to be a time travel Next Generation movie and a Borg Next Generation movie, but the writers decided to put those two plots together, and it made this really, really good movie. Those two plots surprisingly work quite well. Now, yet another big positive for this movie is that it sets up Star Trek Enterprise, and I don't just mean the episode Regeneration from its second season, but I mean the entire show, because a large amount of Enterprise is dedicated to the human relations with Vulcans and Zefram Cochrane, and pretty much everything this movie has in it, in terms of what we see of the late 21st century, is one of the important parts of Enterprise that makes it what it is. So we can thank this film for pretty much the entirety of Enterprise. It would have been a completely different show without it. And seeing the beginning of Warp Drive, the formation of that, Zefram Cochrane, and Earth in the late 21st century in Star Trek lore, is also really cool. Another great thing is that the Borg assimilate the Enterprise, which is such a cool idea. Like, the fact that we see the Borg actually assimilating a starship. Now, this is something we'd see done again later, but the fact that we see it here, done to the Enterprise, is amazing. There's so many great sequences, like the holodeck scene, or the scene where they're walking across the Enterprise's hull to deactivate the deflector dish. It's so cool seeing the slow build-up of Borg assimilating the Enterprise until it's obvious that it's completely in their control. Now, one of the very biggest things that this movie has is not only Zefram Cochrane and all, but the Borg Queen, the introduction of a queen to the Borg Collective, an individual. Now, a lot of people really hate this, and I can understand, and I think it doesn't entirely work, because the whole idea of the Borg is that they're basically this one big collective hive mind sweeping through space, destroying everything. So having an individual that rules them is not only a bit generic, but it's also, well, it kind of just doesn't fit the Borg. But they do it well. They do it about as well as I could imagine them doing it in this situation. And just like many insect hives, you have a queen, which I think is cool. I think it's the best way they could have done an individuality within the Borg Collective. A small thing that I still think is worth pointing out is that Geordi has ocular implants now, and he doesn't have his visor. Which, his visor was iconic, maybe they could have redesigned it a little, but the ocular implants are pretty cool. We get to finally see LeVar Burton, acting with his eyes, which is quite nice. And seeing the launch of the Phoenix, it going into warp as the first warp engine ever is really cool, and the fact that that then catches the attention of the Vulcans who land on Earth is perfect. The fact that the Vulcans were the first aliens to make contact with humans is great, and it actually makes a lot of sense when you think about how humans in the 24th century are disciplined a lot in some ways like the Vulcans in terms of their first contract procedures, and it very much does feel like the Vulcans had some kind of influence on humanity in its early days of space exploration. And they did. Again, this also sets up a large portion of Enterprise. And now I'm pretty much done with the story, but the music in this movie is truly astounding. The opening credits music, the main theme of it, is really, really beautiful. And the massive, epic theme for the Borg as the cube strolls through our solar system is also amazing. The Borg's theme has segments where it's big and bombastic and crazy and epic, but there's also segments that are kind of unnerving and creepy and slow. And it really, really works. Really, all of the music in this film is pretty much perfect. So, overall, First Contact is a masterpiece. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, because it is so close to perfection, and in my opinion, the best Next Generation film. So, that's been me for this video, and next time I'm going to go and review Unity, the third season episode of Star Trek Voyager.